It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. Oh, in the name of God. Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to another Creature Feature brought to you by Blood and Guts HHN. With me, as always, is my partner in frights and the Crypt Keeper himself, Matt. How's it going, Matt?
Doing fantastic, Evil Adam. You know why?
Why is that?
Because we're going to talk about one of the greatest shows of all time tonight. The ones that, really you can sink your teeth into horror and just got like a whole generation interested in fright stories.
Mm-hmm. And a good one to binge on a rainy Sunday or a sunny Sunday, whatever you like. We're going to be talking about Tales from the Crypt. In this episode, we've picked a few of our favorites in no particular order, no particular ranking going on here. We're just going to go ahead and discuss a few of our favorites and why they are our favorites.
Mm-hmm. And we even have some mixed in, too, that may not necessarily be our favorites, but ones that we know hasn't been talked about a lot that maybe people should talk about a little bit more as well. So like he said, it's no particular order. It's not like this is a ranking or anything like that. It's just, some great episodes to talk about, maybe bring to your attention.
Yep, that's right. And number one, we're going to kick us off with The Man Who Was Death, episode number 1, if I believe that's correct. And that was William Sadler in this one. As you know, William Sadler also played Death many times in the Bill and Ted movies.
Yes, sir.
And another fun fact is William Sadler in this one works in a prison as the executioner. Mm-hmm. And if you'll remember Shawshank Redemption and other films, William Sadler has also played a prisoner.
Yep.
In one way or shape or form many other times. So in this one, he's pretty much the executioner, and he kind of has this righteous authority feeling, mm-hmm. And the camera style, Walter Hill did this one, so it's very much kind of gritty, I don't remember, there's certain scenes where he's standing on an overpass, cars are going over, he's got his hat on,
everything.
He's kind of narrating, talking to the camera itself, so it's one of those, it kind of really pulls you into this show and gets you feeling like, I want to see what this show has to offer.
Yep. And like I said, he does a great job, and it's got a couple of great guest appearances in too by the legendary Roy Brocksmith from Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
And then you also got Robert Winley, who he's not a very famous actor, but he's always playing like those biker characters, like in Terminator 2 and Near Dark, and so he makes an appearance. It's the same type of character in this one as well, but. Like I said, going back to William Sadler, he just does a fantastic job at the very beginning. Like I said, being self-righteous, and cold-hearted. Like whenever the prisoners are in there on death row and they're begging, the governor's going to call.
He's going to call. The phone's going to ring.
He's like, I'm going to make sure I'm going to look him right in the eye before we execute him and stuff. And so, I mean, just all that stuff was cold-hearted.
But you almost root for him. He's almost like an anti-hero, and he's dressed almost like what I would picture like a vigilante. Yeah. Kind of like attire, leather coat. Fedora hat, cut off gloves, and as he's addressing the camera, it's such a good, darkly shot episode as far as lighting goes.
And if you've not seen the episode, like the way it kind of goes, I mean, if you don't want spoilers, obviously, you may want to skip this episode until you get a chance to watch it. But he loses his job because the state that he's in just does away with the death penalty. So instead of keeping him on there, they're worried that the prisoners, knowing that he used to throw the switch, would turn on him. So they let him go. And like Evil Adam stated, that's when he becomes a vigilante and decides to take matters into his own hands for a lot of criminals.
Yeah, and you got this, like he said, spoiler warning. At the end when he says, when they've got him strapped down, I know the phone is going to ring. And I know that the governor is going to call.
He's like, they asked me if I wanted to shave my head. I said, no, governor's going to call.
Governor's going to call.
You see that head smoking there at the end whenever they get him.
Oh, yeah.
So like I said, it's definitely...
It's a good lead in, and it's a good, kind of get your feet wet episode. If you're looking to dive into Tales from the Crypt, kind of 1 through Z there. So.
And as you can tell with all these episodes, what's great about this show is, it gets you with a twist at the end on every one of them. So somebody you may be rooting for, there's always some type of twist that's going to be coming.
Yeah, and it's always usually going to be a really good character actor in that role as well.
Absolutely. So moving right along, then it's another episode. Our second episode we're going to talk about is another one that Walter Hill directed. It's called Cutting Cards. Yeah, and with that one we have Lance Hendrickson, Kevin Tiggy, and then the legendary Roy Brocksmith once again makes another appearance. But this is another episode. It's a fast-paced episode. You got these two rival gamblers that just cannot stand the sight of each other. Decide they're going to do a once and for all type of a high stakes poker, Russian roulette, just whatever they can think of to run the other one out of town.
Yeah, and it seems like they hate each other so much, these guys, and they pull this off very well. I mean, and with the hate between these two characters, that you can tell that their games have evolved from gambling to more and more deadly.
Right.
The scene with the Russian roulette, that it's all or nothing with these guys.
Yeah, I love that when Lance Henriksen, he keeps talking about his odds. 2-to-1 shot, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, and they're just standing right out in the street in the broad daylight, or well, it's night, but right out in the middle of the street, playing Russian roulette with each other.
Yeah, and then once that doesn't work, they move on to chop poker, and that's the funnest part of the whole episode, boys and girls. Whenever one loses, and then have to lose a finger or a hand, the faces they make, and then it gets to the point where
they still keep going. They still keep going.
And whenever he loses,
that's the dedication.
I'll give you a finger back. We'll get the doctor in, and he'll sew it right back on for it. No,
that's the dedication to the hatred between the two characters, and I love that focus between them. Is on set is just, you could tell that there was they just did it so well.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of my favorite episodes. Like I said, it's so fast paced, gets moving. Like I said, the way they play off each other, fantastic. And Walter Hill with his direction, awesome.
Yeah, definitely a well known Western style director anyway. So can't go wrong there.
So next episode we're going to talk about is Morning Mess.
Morning
Mess. The fantastic one with Steven Weber and Vincent Schiavelli. Adam, I know this is one of your favorite episodes, the one where he's the reporter looking into those homeless people.
Yeah, the homeless are disappearing in the city, and he's kind of an alcoholic reporter down and out, and so he's kind of become discredited to the community. He's trying to find that big scoop that's going to bring his career back. And, I picture Steven Weber, as more of a comedic actor from Wings and, that kind of stuff. But he does this one well. But the thing that got me about this one was, I know Tales from the Crypt will borrow a lot from other sources of writing and film. But this one reminds me a lot of the, I know you've seen probably the Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, yeah.
Which is based on the Clive Barker Book of Blood, one of those series. So it's very much about an underground society, doing stuff to the homeless, eating them, taking them.
Ghouls,
a bunch of ghouls, feeding on the homeless, and somebody uncovers it, and that uncovers a bigger, mystery. And I like the fact that, Steven Weber in this one just kind of like you want to root for him, and there's scenes where you do root for him, but there's scenes where he's really sleazy and does some really underhanded stuff, and you're like, now I kind of don't want to root for him, but I have to anyway. Yeah,
and then kind of talking about Vincent Schiavelli, who's helping him throughout the episode too. He's always been a fantastic actor. I always think about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Ghost, and as always, he does we were talking about earlier. They get so many A-listers to come in here and do these guest bit parts. Yeah, but does a fantastic job working with Steven Weber. But then obviously, he doesn't have a happy ending for him. But this episode here, like I said, with the makeup with the gore, that's something I feel like we need to talk about too. It's very top notch in this episode, and the way the ghouls look whenever they reveal themselves to Steven Weber's character. Yeah, and I always personally, just deep down, I always like that little fear that these are high class socialites. Yes.
But deep down there's something evil about them, and it touches base, with films like They Live and several other things, High Society, things like that. And this is one of those that definitely, if you're looking for gore, if you're looking for just a good little story to watch, this has got you covered.
Absolutely. So, like I said, that's a great episode. You definitely should check that one out. Next one we'll talk about then is The New Arrival, and this one's actually always been one of my favorites. It's been one of my family's favorites as well. It's got the great David Warner, Zelda Rubinstein, and Robert Patrick shows up just for a little guest spot as the rock and roll DJ that's looking to take David Warner's spot.
Yes,
in that one. So, like I said, that's a fantastic one. It starts out with David Warner's he finds out he's going to be losing his radio spot.
Oh, and it's creepy. He's creepy. He's a radiotherapist.
Yes.
Yep.
And so to try to save his show, he decides he's going to go to Zelda's home to try to take care of little Nora. And it's got one of the best bits in the whole bit. Like every time Nora does something, she either offers her some candy or is like, "Come on, little Nora." Like, got that little voice from, and he's like, "Oh, you got to learn how to ignore it, ignore it."
And you may remember her from Poltergeist and those type of films. This house is clear. And but it's so great because I like the way they kick it off because you really don't know what's going on in this one. Mm-hmm. You really don't know when they get there. Is this child?
Is she a real child?
Is she a ghost? Is she a real child? Is she an adult pretending to be a child? You really don't know. So it leads you down many paths in this one. And it whereas the one before with Steven Weber is just a violent kind of noir mystery. This one really has you guessing for a minute, like what's the real outcome?
And it's fantastic once they realize they've done messed up and she's telling the truth. And not only is there something wrong with the child, she's undead. And their faces like so-and-so, all this, when they get to the very end, spoiler alert for this one, but when they're up in the attic and all the dead psychiatrists try to help, all their corpses are there, so he tried to help, he couldn't do it, he couldn't do.
And it's just one of those really twisted endings where you're kind of rooting for this guy. You're rooting for him to help this child, but then again, you don't know what kind of child it is.
Yeah. So definitely, this is one you should check out. Like I said, it's fantastic episodes, well written, and great cast on it.
And the sets, I like the sets a lot in this with the house, and each room has a bit of a crazy different set. Like the child's room is kind of very much like technological.
Yep.
And then you get to the attic, and there's the cobwebs and
all the gum,
and all the old furniture and the dust and the sets are really, really well done. I mean, the sets are well done in all of them, but this one right here, the sets really caught my attention.
Absolutely.
So,
next episode, this is one we both love deep down. This is probably one of my favorite episodes as well, but it's Television Terror with the great Morton Downey.
Oh yeah, Morton Downey in this one. And he's a skeptic reporter who's supposedly going to spend the night in a haunted house, and this one's been told many ways throughout time. I once remember reading a great story that I felt like they borrowed it from, but probably borrowed from someone else, where the reporter locks himself in the house and it's a radio broadcast, whereas this one's a TV broadcast.
Yeah.
So he's got his cameraman with him, and they're going into a house where there had been murders and all this, and they're going to try to capture some paranormal footage for the audience, although neither of them believe in such a thing. Well, it turns out that, it does exist, and it's as far as creepy violence goes, it's really well done.
The build-up in this episode as it goes through, because they kind of mention like the old Geraldo episode wherever he's going to look for Al Capone's vault and nothing happens. They kind of touch on that.
Yeah.
But that slow build-up like you're talking about, where he's really finding nothing. He's just moving. He's in the basement. Nothing's there. And then also you just start hearing little things going on in the house, and then they cut to commercial. And next thing you know, all of a sudden the doors are slamming open and shut.
Yep.
The chandeliers are spinning around, and obviously they don't know who's doing what, and they just think they're the line. They're going crazy. But
and the great part when he finds out finally when his cameraman is slaughtered off camera.
Yeah.
And they say, "Who's holding the camera?"
It's like, "Trip, come here!" And
Trip.
you see the camera come on, and all of a sudden they look up and there's Trip hanging. He's like,
he's saying,
"Who's holding
the camera?" Yeah, so he's dead. And then
Morton Downey just does a fantastic job.
Just chewing the scenery.
Yeah, because whenever he sees, like, "Oh gosh, this is awful," know, get me out.
And the expression, and Morton Downey's just a great bucket of wind. So he's just chewing the scenery in this one. So if you're looking for more of a comical yet kind of violent episode, this one is definitely one that you could sink your teeth into, so to say.
Absolutely, like talking about the violence, and it's got great gore, great special effects in it, like that, and just not only that, the creepiness.
They step it up too. They almost play like a comical violence, like when the lady has the chainsaw, when the ghost lady has the chainsaw. Like, there's no need for that. I mean, you could have just had her be an apparition with a knife, or just an apparition itself, like the girl from The Ring or something. Just she appears and she's a menace. But they stepped it up a little bit, and they're like, we're just going to give her a chainsaw because it's the 90s, and that's what we're going to do.
The best part of that spoiler alert, though, is whenever Horton dies at the end,
Yeah.
and they don't know what to do, so they play the ad for next week. Where it's like, we're gonna
Stay tuned for next week, and we're going to be talking to a person, and it's, of course, like a person who...
devil-worshipping nuns.
And a person who believes they are Jesus, kind of thing. So it's such a great, like, Jerry Springer kind of meets, the
before
paranormal.
Jerry Springer was even popular.
Exactly. So these episodes are just... It's just all so great. I mean, you could talk for hours about.
Yes. Yeah. This
could have been a huge list, but we tried to narrow it down as best we could.
Yeah.
But yeah, kicking it back over now. What do we got next? Is
we got Yellow.
Yellow. This is a classic.
Oh, one of my favorite episodes. Like this one, just got to start out with talking about the cast. I mean, you got Eric Douglas, talking about some heavy hitters there. You got Kirk Douglas, Dan Aykroyd, Lance Henriksen, and directed by the legendary Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, Zemeckis did this one. And I will say that as far as the other episodes we've talked about on the list so far, this one is I'm going to say, for me personally, is a little more somber.
Yes.
It's a little more real.
Yes, it's not really a horror episode.
It doesn't have that campiness. A little bit, but as far as like the real camp goes, no, this is not a campy. This is more of a somber episode.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about it, though, even though, like I said, it's not like a straight-up horror episode, it's got some great gore because of that World War I imagery that's going on when they're battling in the trenches, and you got all the war wounds going on.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, obviously we'll have spoilers, but like when Lance Henriksen comes in and he opens up his arm and his intestines just fall out, and he's like, "He's yellow, sir."
Yep.
But it's just a fantastic episode because you got Eric Douglas going out. He's afraid to die, so he'll do whatever he can to get out of actually going out into battle. And then you got Kirk Douglas, which is his father. So you got that real father-son relationship in this episode. Instead of him worried about what his son wants and needs, he's worried about his own reputation, saying, "I can't raise a son. It's a coward. I can't have a coward leading these men." So
right, and sends him out anyway, knowing that the consequences will be pretty bad. Sends him on a damn near suicide mission.
Yep. And his own men knew he's a coward, and so
so they're not wanting to speak up because they know the repercussions that will come from it.
And not only that, though, but once they do get out there, they know that if they get in the battle, he's not going to pull the trigger. So it's like, you just stay back here, and here's your shell casing. If you see any of the Huns, blow on that whistle.
Exactly.
And he's even too scared to do that, ladies and gentlemen. So he ends up just hanging out his team to dry, and that's what ends up getting him in trouble because then he comes back because I killed so many Germans. So let me see that weapon. This weapon hadn't even been fired.
And this one to me feels more like an old season 1, season 2, 3 Twilight Zone episode than it does Tales from the Crypt. But I mean, it's not that it's saying that it just has that old school nostalgia vibe.
Well, this one here, like you were talking about earlier, how it's somber. This is probably, to me, one of the best acted episodes out of the entire run.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it has to be when you got Kirk Douglas and Dan Aykroyd and Lance Henriksen in there. I mean, it's just great actors playing off each other. But the twist at the end, when he's telling his son, "You think I'm going to execute my own son?" And he's just building him up just so he can be. He's like, "I want you to face that firing squad."
And you, as the audience, know that something bad's coming down the line. Yeah. And you kind of feel it in your gut, and you kind of almost have this question of, do I want to keep watching this? Because I feel like something bad is coming down the line, and sure enough, it does.
Yeah, and, absolutely. So I mean, it's an episode I think you need to check out. Everybody, you'll love this episode. It's
definitely a classic. Totally.
Yep. So the next one we got is one you actually turned me on to recently. It was
Stared in Horror. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one got to me because I watched it and I'd never seen it before. And I've seen quite a few of them, but it's about it's a cursed house, but it's also about a cursed staircase, which is a thing. And for me, I realized I've never really, because I read a lot of horror, I always have. I've never really read one about a cursed staircase. Houses, yes, but this one, you have this convict who's hiding out in an elderly lady's home, like a dilapidated home,
right?
And it turns out that the staircase in the home is cursed to where, she goes up and she becomes younger. Mm-hmm. Anybody that goes up becomes younger. So the old, what do we have? Arlie Army.
Yep, the sheriff.
The gunnery as the sheriff. Of course, you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
He shows up looking for the convict. So she's like, you got to hide up the stairs, but don't go too far up the stairs. Mm-hmm. So this whole mystery element, and the way it's shot is like Dutch angles, 45 degrees.
That's
all this kind of weird stuff.
Speaking of that, Stephen Hopkins was the one who directed this episode, and he's all like, you think about Nightmare on Elm Street 5, like recreating the labyrinth. Like I said, he gets all them great shots and great angles.
The great Dutch angles, the great staircase looking through the banisters, and all this stuff, and it's just really creepy, weird ending that kind of leaves you. This one's a little unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one leaves you literally feeling like, yeah, what did I just watch?
Yeah,
and
like you said, the twist at the end, like you're talking about, just it being the staircase and the repercussions. Like when she comes down, she's getting older, but he don't realize when he goes up, it's the opposite.
He's getting
him.
Younger, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, no, he's actually getting older, and she gets younger.
Yeah, that's right. I had it back with that. But yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said,
then they try to meet in the middle because they try to, because she's beautiful when she's younger, and it just turns into a whole mess.
Absolutely. So I mean, it's like I said, it was a wonderful episode, and it's like one where you feel bad for her because she's been cursed. I can't remember how many years she's in there, but she's been in that house forever, and had that happen to her.
And then he's just trying to escape the law.
Yeah.
So it's it's just one of those ones that it's really hard to explain it, but it leaves you with a weird taste in your mouth after you watch it. Mm-hmm. But definitely one that I remember being like, damn, this is pretty crazy. Yeah. So it shows you how far the show can go, as far as like. So you think in your head, this is where the episode is going to go. I've already got it figured out, and then the show goes, no, you don't. We're going to take you somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like this one pretty much.
Fantastic. So. Like I said, and this is one of those episodes, like you said, where honestly, a lot of the YouTube channels I've watched, I've never seen anybody talk about it. So it's definitely one you need to go check out. Moving right along, then the next episode, it's one that's very near and dear to my heart, as Death of Some Salesman. Oh. You got the great Ed Begley Jr. and the classic Tim Curry, who's playing three roles in this episode.
Tim Curry is playing all the roles.
Yeah, of that demented family.
Oh.
So, obviously, you're starting out, you got Ed Begley Jr. as just some snake oil salesman who's going around people.
Flim-flam artist.
Yeah. So what he does is he's reading the obituaries and going out and preying on these people who just lost loved ones to try to sell them a plot to a cemetery that doesn't exist. And
he's a flim-flam artist.
So then he ends up showing up to the wrong house where Tim Curry, like I said, is playing the father, the son, and the lovely daughter.
The very lovely daughter.
But what tickles me in this episode, obviously, after he realizes he messes up and he wakes up, the whole episode then is trying to get him to get with the daughter, and if they fall in love, they're going to spare his life. But I love the interaction he has with the daughter. Where Tim Curry is the father. He's like, "You can't trust him. He's a salesman. You just can't trust nothing he does."
And it's obviously not the first time that this family's had to deal with this kind of thing,
right?
And they've been doing it for quite a while, but. The performance, the makeup, the voices, and so Tim Curry not only, he played the father and the daughter and the mother, mm-hmm. but to get into the headspace, because each character is different. It's not Tim Curry in three different makeups doing the same voice, the same character. This is Tim Curry manifesting three different characters, three different makeups, which I'm sure was no easy feat in the makeup chair, and the way his voice when he plays the paw.
Yeah.
Is they say the paw.
Coming,
paw. So, yeah. And the mother's just so, kind of like whimsical.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of like, you think maybe the mother's the nice one, but, you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
But when they plays the naive daughter, too, it's one of those ones that trust us, boys and ghouls. You gotta see it to believe it. If you love Tim Curry and
the twist in that ending too is really awesome. They get
go ahead and tell it to him because they should have seen it by now because it's been out.
Like where he's actually telling him he's selling the plot, but he makes the girl think that he's falling in love with her, and they're going to go get the dowry, and the dowry is down in the basement. So
of course, why would it not? Where else would it be?
So he's digging that hole trying to get the dowry. He opens it up and he finds out it's what he was trying to sell them with the plot, and he's just dug his own grave, which is just the ultimate, getting him back.
Because that's where you keep the dowries, in the basement, in the ground.
And Tim Curry's like, why would you do this? Salesmanship.
Salesmanship. Oh, yeah. So just a great, great classic by the legendary Tim Curry.
Yeah.
He just steps in, and, this is not, the budget of
Avatar.
Yeah, this is not the budget of Avatar. This is not the budget of Legend or It or any of those classics that he's known for or Rocky Horror. This is just a weekly Tales from the Crypt episode, but he gives it 100% and makes this episode with Begley Jr. Just brilliant. So,
and you think about that, like honestly, I mean, there is a good cameo in there by Yvonne DiCarlo from the Munsters, where like she lost a loved one. He's done
ripped her off.
But the bulk of this episode is really just Ed Begley Jr. and Tim Curry carrying the whole episode, and the way they interact with each other, like I said, is just awesome.
It's such a classic.
Well, here comes this next episode is another one that does not get talked about enough.
Yep.
Is Comes the Dawn. Michael Ironside, where they're going out to. Think they're going out for big game hunting in Alaska. But it turns out they're the ones that are being hunted.
Yeah, they're illegal poaching is what they're doing. So they're poachers, and they're going up. So it's almost like your 30 Days of Night kind of plot in this one. Mm-hmm. Where it's dark, it's snowy, it's cold. Just like you would picture it. The sets are great, and it finds out they're getting hunted.
Right.
And it's such a classic. The way that Ironside, he has his cold delivery where he's got that. I can't do the voice. He's got that voice where he's just got that cold, straightforward delivery. And what did you think about this?
Oh, he's like anything with Michael Ironside, you got me sold on it. But like this one here too, just talk about the blood and the gore and the makeup and it's done, very well done. But like I said, the twist of it once they realize they're being hunted, like they're going up there and they realize things are off. Yeah. And then when they see they're being hunted, that's when it really kicks into gear. But like I said, the blood, the gore. Ironside you just can't go wrong with this episode.
It's classic, vampire. Well, I mean, I guess you could kind of call them vampires or kind of like something in that lore,
right?
Some kind of flesh-eating monster.
And like I said, I know 30 Days Night started out as a graphic novel. I'm not sure really which one came first, but it makes me wonder after watching this one though if maybe they did take some ideas from it.
Yeah,
go
yeah, I'm not sure for that one. That'd be good. That'd be worth a good Google.
Yeah,
it's worth a Google. But yeah.
Yep. Well, rounding out then, the 10th episode we're going to talk about is one of my personal favorites is House of Horror. And this one here has got a great cast. You got the great Will Wheaton.
That's right.
Kevin Coogan, Kevin Dillon. And you got Courtney Gaines from The Children of the Corn, Jason London. And
Jason London.
And the legendary Bob Clark directed this episode, the one directed like Christmas Story.
Yeah.
But
which you would think,
Yeah. This, like I said, it's a classic episode if you haven't seen it, where these kids are rushing for a fraternity, and so you got Kevin Dillon being the rush master, is like just the biggest jerk in the world. And for their final test, he takes them out to the house, and very fun trivia. If you've seen it, it's the same house from Nothing But Trouble, where they take him to Valkenvania to go to court.
Allegedly haunted, and allegedly there's all the rumors about the family in the house, and
and so each one has to go in the house, go up to the second floor, flash a light, then go up to the attic and flash a light, and then the next ones will go. Well, they get to the second floor, but nobody ever gets to that top floor, and so you find out, spoiler alert, you find out that someone who failed the test years prior is in there and telling the boys to go upstairs and not make a sound. But what they don't know really is that there's ghouls up in the attic that's eating them whenever they come up there. But the performances in this one is just like I said, Kevin Dillon just tickles the crap out of me in this episode because he's such a jerk to those kids, and then you find out he's really a big coward himself, and they try to get him to go in the house.
Right.
And then his face whenever the girls come out and they're like, we're hungry, and our pledges have to eat every bite or they'll end up on the wall of shame.
Yeah.
And then so you get the good gore.
The big reveal at the end there.
And then, like I said, it's almost like television terror. They come out with the chainsaws, too. So
you
can't go wrong with a good
chainsaw. Just stepping it up. I mean, for no reason at all, they could have had an axe, a pickaxe, a knife.
Yeah.
But, they got to have the chainsaw because it's the 90s, and we're going to step on the gas.
That about does it then, boys and girls. Like Tales from the Crypt, we could sit here all night, and this could be like a 3-hour episode and go through all these episodes because there's really not many episodes that miss the mark. The bulk of them.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. I mean, even later on in some of the latter seasons, I know, when they move to the studios in London and all that stuff, even some of those episodes are really well done. Some more so than others, but But as far as if you're looking for a good show to just binge,
Yeah.
you want to get a good horror fix on a Sunday. It's raining. I don't got nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pour yourself a glass and watch some Tales from the Crypt.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong. Because the one thing I forgot to mention too is the great Kevin Yeager does a lot of the special effects. And you think about him from Child's Play fame. He done Face Off. I mean, we could sit here and just talk about Kevin Yeager all day and all the stuff he's done. But you won't sell yourself short by locating it. The only bummer is there's really not many places you can stream Tales from the Crypt. So hopefully you got that physical media. That's always good to invest in.
Yep. But other than that, thought we'd give you a couple of these Tales from the Crypts for you to sink your teeth into, boys and ghouls. Yep.
Make sure to leave comments to let us know your favorite episodes as well. And
yeah, definitely, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you like. What episodes tickled your fancy.
And be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends.
That's right. And stay tuned for some more creature features. We got a couple of more good ones definitely on the way in the canon for you. So be sure to stay tuned for the next creature features.